Welcome to DevVenture with MTK. So this is our 52nd session in the Space Shooter DevVenture. So I'm going to have to start off by apologizing for being this late, and also apologize in advance that this is only going to be half the duration that we usually do, so 30 minutes. I have something coming up in the next half an hour that I already agreed to do, and I unfortunately don't have much more maneuvering room, or any scope to push this live stream further back. Otherwise everything cascades into delay. So without wasting any more time, let's just go straight in, because we have only half the time, so we'll have to do twice the throughput just for ordinary productivity. So by the end of our last session, we had finished the first of 3 steps that the pattern, signals, and behavior management AI programming layer suggested to us. And we are just starting with step 2 now. So there's 3 steps. This is the second one. So let's just go over it quickly, figure out exactly what it's asking us to do, or suggesting that we do, and then we'll go straight into Godot engine and start doing it. All right, so step 2, the goal is to write a short, explicit pattern and behavior contract that your strategic, tactical, and operational threads can all rely on. This can live as a markdown document or as a big comment block in one shared place. For example, at the top of enemy ship controller.gd, or in a separate AI pattern contract.md. I think that one's the winner. We'll get there, but I definitely think that a separate markdown document makes sense. So in that contract, the key points to write down are ownership, signals, parameters contract, and behavior guarantees. Okay, so let's go into each of those. So ownership: the enemy ship controller owns the patterns dictionary and is responsible for tuning pattern name into behavior sequence via assign pattern to enemy. And the NPC behavior manager owns sequencing and lifestyle of behaviors. So activate, deactivate, behavior complete, and cancel pattern. Or maybe not cancel pattern, but cancel behavior. So there's a separation, right? So the pattern itself, or to interrupt just the behavior and move on to the next one, or whatever, right? So okay, and then signals, we've got downward signals going from strategic down, and upward signals going from operational up, or just from any layer upwards or any layer downwards, right? So pattern assigned will go down from enemy ship controller towards the NPC behavior manager, right? And then upwards from the NPC behavior manager, something like pattern complete or pattern fail or pattern interrupted, or ready for the next pattern, right? And then behavior level, behavior completed from each behavior node, right? So that goes up from the operational layer towards the tactical layer. And then there's the parameters contract. So we always use pattern name of type string, and we always use multi-step patterns. So behavior sequence is an array of type string filled only by the enemy ship controller, right? And that makes sense because the enemy ship controller is the strategic layer. It doesn't make sense that any other layer should know the strategy. It doesn't concern them. All they need to know is these are the specific behaviors that need to be handled, so handle them. And then the tactical layer goes down towards all the operational layer behavior nodes and says, okay, well, you do your job. And then it comes back and says, okay, done. And then it says, okay, well, now you do your job. And then it comes back and says, okay, done. And then it goes, okay, now you do your job. It literally just delegates from that list, right? And the operational layer literally just runs a sequence of actions, right? So whatever the behavior is supposed to do, it does them. Now, now onto the third point. Targeting keys understood by behaviors. right? So the target node path, the target position, and any specific additional information. Things like continuous for shooting. And then the behavior guarantees. So activate either starts the work or it emits a failed behavior completed quickly if setup is impossible, right? So if something comes back as null, or if it's out of bounds of the array, if there's an array, or if there's some critical check that fails beyond those, then we obviously return and we call behavior complete, right? And then deactivate stops work and must not emit a completion signal after being called, right? So if there is any behavior that's currently running and we don't want it to run anymore, then we will have to call deactivate, and that will stop that behavior, right? And then each behavior must emit a behavior completed signal exactly once per activation, right? So once the signal's activated, it has to do what it's supposed to do, and if at any point it gets if it completes its work, it emits the behavior completed signal, or if it's interrupted or fails, it calls the behavior completed sequence, right? And then it either says I finished with completion or I finished with interruption, right? I failed, or whatever. And then the data contains the reason why it failed, right? So it failed with data, and the data would be I was interrupted, or I failed because the target is out of reach, or I failed because it's taking too long, or whatever, right? And then that's that. So if you like, the next message can draft that contract as a ready to paste markdown comment block tailored to your current code. Now that is amazing, right? What a time saver. Let's do it. Yes, please go ahead and draft this contract as a markdown file that I can keep in my Godot project folder. Let's just see in the file system, do we have project meta? We do. Do we have documentation? Yes, we do. Branding, configuration, documentation. We'll call this project docs, right? And in here we'll add that markdown file. So let's go ahead and say that. What? Do it. Well, that's kind of annoying. I'll just copy the entire thing as is, right? And then we'll paste this here. We'll create a new text file and call it, what do we call it? Go to the top. AI pattern and behavior contract. AI pattern and behavior contract dot markdown, and we'll save that. Then we'll open this and paste everything in. This contract should be updated whenever new patterns or behaviors are added, so that all AI layers stay aligned. Oh, yeah, so that is actually sensible to take out that one. And then that's code, so that's fine. That's code, so that's fine. And that's code, so that's fine. And then right at the bottom, there should be, well, yeah, that's fine. That's code. This shouldn't be there. We can save that, and it's all done. Okay, so that's good. I want to close this. So we'll just close that. Then we'll go back here. Scroll right to the bottom. We'll say to Perplexity, thank you for this document. I've pasted it into AI pattern and behavior contract. .md and stored it in resources This should conclude step 2. Am I correct? Am I right? Are we ready to move on to step 3? Yes, that clearly concludes or completes step 3. The contract is now captured in a stable place for all layers to reference. We are ready for step 3. Step 3 is to add a small test, or rather a small set of focused test scenarios to validate the pattern system end to end. So we need to have the attack pattern happy path, arrival, shoot, flee, pattern complete. We need to have the pattern interruption, attack in progress, then reassign to find a waypoint, verifying the pattern interrupted, and clean seek start, and then a failure path. So shoot with no gun or invalidate target. My mistake, invalid target. We're not writing a game that causes the abuse of a target, no. Shoot with no gun or invalid target, verifying pattern failed, and ready for pattern. If you are ready, the next action can be to pick one of these, usually the attack happy path, and set up the exact scene and debug prints or signals to confirm the sequence. Well, I mean, we have it, right? We've got testing seek behavior, and we've already validated that there is such a thing as a attack happy path in quotes, and there is such a thing as pattern interruption, and it works, right? The only thing we haven't seen now, since we fixed everything, is the failure path. So when we design something deliberately to fail, does it fail correctly? Although it failed in not so deliberate ways before, and it was able to capture those. So I think that it is working. Although it would be nice to have these test scenarios to confirm that everything works as should, as it should. So let's go ahead and say yes. Yes, I'm ready. It's 14:45 South African Standard Time, and I need to go at 1500. That leaves 15 minutes to get this done. Can we do that? Or should we postpone this for later and focus on lighter work instead? "15 minutes is enough to do a light but valuable version of step 3. Add simple logging so you can visually verify one full attack pattern run next time you hit play." What is realistic in 15 minutes? You can comfortably instrument the system with clear print calls in Behavior Manager on pattern assign, start behavior, behavior complete, cancel current pattern. Each behavior's activate, deactivate, and completion paths. Run test attack pattern and watch the Godot console to confirm that you see pattern assigned, arrival complete, arrival completed, or rather arrival activate, arrival completed, shoot activate if you stub flee later, and then pattern complete. There should be, there should be a flee pattern here, or a flee behavior in the pattern. We haven't implemented it yet, so that's what they mean here. If we add stubs to say, add placeholder prints or something to say, oh, it should be fleeing at this time, but it's not being implemented, or something, right? That gives you practical sanity checks today without building a fully automated test harness. The recommendation: given your time box, use the remaining time to ensure logs in NPC Behavior Manager clearly show pattern and behavior transitions, and then trigger the test attack pattern once and confirm the sequence in the console. Leave more advanced work for your next session when you are not as rushed. If you would like, the next message can be a minimal paste into Manager and Behavior's logging patch, so you only need to copy it over and press play. Right, so here's my idea. I'm going to give it the code for all three, right? So, well, for all the code. I'll give it the code for the enemy ship controller, the NPC Behavior Manager, and seek, shoot, and arrival, and ask if it thinks that those logging print statements are sufficient. And if it doesn't, what can I add and where and how and whatever else, and then we'll do that, right? And hopefully we can get this done before the end of the half session, and I think that will be enough. I will be satisfied with that if we can get it done. So let's try and push for that, okay? If we have time at the end, then even better. But before we do, I'm going to be rushing this section a little bit, so let me just take a few minutes now to extend my gratitude to our junior DevVenturer Cubes. Thank you so much for your support. He is our junior DevVenturer, which is a membership tier on my Coffee page. You're welcome to go and check it out at coffee.com/mtkdev. The link is in the description of this video and all my previous live streams. And you're also welcome to join the Discord community. The link is in the description as well. Okay, I hope to see you there. Now let's continue. So I need to give it all the code. Let's do that. Enemy ship controller, copy all. Here is the code from enemy ship controller. Controller.gd. Paste that in there, and here is the code from NPC Behavior Manager.gd. Okay, let's do that one. Copy all, paste it there. Okay, and here is the code from behavior shoot.gd. And here is the code from behavior seek. .gd. Okay. And here is the code from behavior arrival.gd. Oh no, I opened up another application by mistake. Okay, no worries. Let's just do arrival and then that's that. Please analyze all these script files and let me know if the logging print statements are correct. If not, or if there are not enough print statements, please tell me where I can add them and what they should say. I would prefer not to add too many print statements, as this will create large amounts of output log information, which might be too dense to analyze easily. If it can't be helped, that's fine, but don't do unnecessary logs. The existing logging is already close. Only a few small additions will make the attack pattern sequence easy to trace without spamming the console. What you already see with your current code, an attack test should already log the ready startup, the test attack pattern, enemy ship controller assigning attack pattern to ship X, NPC behavior manager found a parent of node of type enemy ship, available behaviors dictionary. When the pattern arrives, pattern assigned attack, starting behavior arrival for pattern attack, per behavior completion, behavior completed, arrival with status complete, or pattern attack completed sequence at the end. Behaviors seek, arrival, and shoot, activation, deactivation, completion, activation, completion at sweet spot, activation and deactivation. That is already fairly readable. Suggested minimal additions. Only add logs where a state change is otherwise invisible. These are safe and low noise. So the first one, we have about 6 minutes. In the enemy ship controller pattern assignment helper, assign pattern to enemy. You add a print statement inside that, so you always see which pattern is being sent, even when it's called from waypoints. This gives you a single consistent log for every pattern assignment, regardless of where it originates. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to move this to the side, open up Godot Engine, and go to the enemy ship controller for that change. Right? So now we need to go into, remember that there is this nice long list of functions. What's the function called? Assign pattern to enemy. Here it is. Okay. parameters, parameters.merge, pattern assigned, dot emit. There's a print statement. Let's add it in. Just here. Okay. So that and that. Actually, no. I think it will be better if we just move each one to a new line. Like this. See, the thing is, I really like it when everything is nice and readable, especially when things are long and they go over onto new, extend beyond the line. Then I really do appreciate when, when things are made readable in those cases. So that's fine. And then we can actually move this close print statement down like that. Kind of looks almost like C# now. Let's just tab this in once more. There we go. Nice and easy. Okay, so there's our print statement. That's step 1 done. Now the next one, let's just do this quickly. You already print when patterns are assigned and behaviors are completed. The only useful extra signals are when a pattern is cancelled. So when cancel current pattern does something, and when a pattern fails, you already log in on behavior completed for failed, so only add on the no sequence or behavior missing paths. So add in function on pattern cancelled in the NPC behavior manager. Let's do this. Go to NPC behavior manager, on pattern cancelled. If enemy ship ID is enemy ship ID, we'll change this to not ship ID. So if it's not ship ID, then return, else we print this here. So we say NPC behavior manager pattern cancel requested for ship, and then enemy ship ID. And at the end of that, we call cancel current pattern. Okay, so there you go. And then inside cancel current pattern, which is this one, we add in, so there's that block. And then here, pattern interrupt.emit, there's a print statement here. If current behavior and current behavior has method deactivate, before calling deactivate, there's a print statement. So let's do that. We'll say print this whole thing here. And then we'll just format that nicely again. So print onto a new line. Tab that in. And then tab that in, like that, and put this on the new line there, like that, right? So nice and neat. Oh, I see. So that should be there. We line up. Oh, I get it. We line up all the commas one more time. Nice and neat. Save that. Okay. And then if current pattern is not current behavior to deactivate. If current pattern is not an empty string, there's a print statement here too. So let's do that one. Copy it, paste it there. Right, so let's just okay. And then pattern interrupted, behavior, sequence, da 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 da. Okay, cool. And then in start next behavior of the NPC behavior manager, we need to add in an else for the failure case. So else push the error, behavior not available, and then print the statement here. Like so. We'll just push this down like so and tab that in. Then, nope. It's actually there and there and there and there. Okay, and then this one obviously goes down to the new line. All right, so that's the one print statement there. And in the no sequence case, if current sequence is empty, no sequence for pattern. Where is that? Pattern cancelled. Pattern assigned. No behavior sequence for pattern. Yeah, okay, so this. If sequence is empty, we can say this print statement goes here before pattern failed. So let's just do that. And then, no, it's actually this. So that goes down. And then that. Goes in line. You know, we could actually do the same thing for the push errors, but I'm not going to. It's fine. We'll actually separate print statements from the rest of the stuff to make it cleaner. Like it is there. That's fine. All right, so that seems fine. Finally, at the end of onBehavior completed, which is here, we need to make a single line to see when the manager is ready again. So ready for pattern.emit, which is this. Then we need to have a print statement here saying this. Excellent. So that's that. So this adds at most 1 extra line per behavior completion. And then there are 3 behaviors, only small tweaks. Unfortunately, we have gone over time. It's already 5 minutes past 3. I didn't even realize. So I'm going to have to close things down here. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. And I'll see you in the next live stream, which will be on Monday, not tomorrow. But yeah, I'll see you in the next live stream.